Wishes to everyone. Continuation of testing of hypothesis. We are going to see today testing of hypothesis about proportion based on proportion. Based on proportion. So proportion test as far as proportion. What is proportion? So suppose in out of 100 people, 56 used to take coffee. This is proportion. Okay. So the proportion of who do not have coffee. This one minus simply 1 minus 56 by 100. This is called P. Here this is X. This is called N, sample size. So for proportion test, there are two kind of tests. Just like that what we have seen in mean, there were mean of one sample and mean of two samples, comparison of samples. In the same way, proportion of one sample and proportion of two sample. What is that? Proportion of one sample. Remaining things for testing of hypothesis is same as that for the test. What are the tests? One is T test, F test, and Chesky test. So mean for T test based on mean, single mean, difference of mean. In the same way, proportion test. Since proportion test is for large sample, we use Z test to use the testing of hypothesis. So proportion of one sample. Here in mean is it test based on mean? We have mean for sample and mean for proportion, mean for population. The same way for proportion test, we would be given proportion of sample and proportion of population. We have to check whether the sample is taken from the particular population. This is what we are going to test under proportion test. So here test statistic for proportion test is simply P dash minus P divided by square root of PQ by N. Or you can have it P minus P dash, whatever it is. So here P dash is population proportion, population's proportion. This is P is samples proportion. So P, we know Q is 1 minus P because P plus Q is equal to 1 always. Probability, simply probability of failure and probability of success is equal to 1. That's why we used to calculate Q from this relation, which is 1 minus P. So in this sample size. So this is what we see. We see here. Okay. Now let's go for in the same way a proportion of two samples we could see. So now let's go with the example given. In a city, if 325 men out of 600 men were found to be smokers, does this information support the conclusion that majority of these men are smokers? Okay. So here, what is given? There is a sample given. This is what sample. 325 men out of 600. Sample out of the population. So men of particular city. There may be a city with 50 lakh men or more than 20 lakh men. We do not know how many of the population of the particular city, but a sample is taken from this city. This is what? 325 out of 600. So 325 is the 600 is the sample we have taken. Sample size is 600. So this is a large sample. So sample size is greater than 30. We call it large sample. So X is the smokers, number of smokers out of 600. That's why it is population. So 325 out of 600. It is a proportion. Okay. So sample proportion is given. Now we have to test the hypothesis. What's the hypothesis? This information. What information? 325 out of 600 is a smokers. So this information supports the conclusion that majority of men in the cities are smokers. In the city are smokers. So what is this? Majority of men in the city is smokers. So majority of men means P. Majority of men in the city. This is population proportion. It is greater than 50%. Okay, it should be greater than 50%. If it is true, this is given. If it is true, then we can say yes, the hypothesis is true. So that's why what we are going to do, we take the hypothesis as it is. Now P is 50% only. 50% is equal to nothing but 50 by 100 is equal to 1 by 2, which is 0.5. So we take P dash as 0.5. There are half men of the city are smokers. This is null hypothesis. And then we take alternative hypothesis just against this. P dash is not equal to 0.5. Here it should be, it's better to find P dash is greater than 0.5. So this should be one-tiled test. This should be one-tiled test. So P dash may be 1 by 2. So in such case we have to find whether it is the hypothesis, an alternative hypothesis should be set as P dash is greater than 1 by 2. That's why it is one-tiled test. One-tiled test. Okay. So sample size is given. So what's the formula for proportion test? There is a formula. P minus P dash divided by square root of PQ by N. What is P? P is sample proportion. For sample proportion, P is equal to 325 out of 600, which is nothing but 0.5. So population proportion, what is population proportion? This is what we have set in null hypothesis. So population proportion is 0.5. And then we have P, we have P dash, population proportion. So P is this. From this we can find Q. So Q is equal to 1 minus P, which is 1 minus 0.54, which is 0.46. So N is sample size. N is equal to 600. From all this information, we can find the calculated result. To find calculated result, use this formula. In the formula, substitute the values. P is 0.54 minus P dash is 0.5 divided by square root of P is 0.54 into 0.46 divided by 600. When you simplify, you will get 1.96, which is approximately equal to 2. Okay. Now, this is 2. Level of why I have it as 2, it is almost closer to 2. That's why I have it so. And then tabulated value we have to check. So this is calculated value. Calculated value is equal to almost 2. So we have to find the tabulated value. To find tabulated value, this is large sample. It's enough. The level of significance. So if you look into the problem, there is no level of significance is mentioned in it. In such case, for large sample, we have to use the value 3 because already I have tabulated, I have informed you for large sample. Level of significance is 10% or 1 now. So Z alpha will be what? Z alpha will be 1.64. If it is 5%, then this will be 1.96. If it is 2%, this will be 2.33. If it is 1%, this will be 2.58. And if there is no information of level of significance is given without reference, then the Z alpha is 3. So here there is no information of level of significance is given in the problem. Okay, no. So we take tabulated variables, simply 3. So compare both the values. Calculated value is 2, tabulated value is 3. Compare both of them. So this should be 2 less than 3. Okay, 2 less than 3. So calculated value is less than tabulated value. So in such case, what we should do? Null hypothesis is accepted. Null hypothesis is accepted. What is the null hypothesis says? Null hypothesis is there are half of the men of the cities smokers. This is not so. There are half of the men of the city are smokers. So we can write the conclusion as, what's the conclusion? There are half of the men of the city are smokers. Okay. So here how to calculate this one? So for calculating this one, so I will explain it. So here this is denominator 0.54 minus 0.5 divided by square root of 0.54 into 0.46 divided by 600. This part is numerator, this part is denominator. So there is division symbol. So here numerator 0.54 minus 0.5 and then divide symbol comes. Here denominator comes. In denominator square root appears. Whenever square root comes, you put a bracket. There is one division. So for numerator put 0.54 into 0.46. There is another division symbol. There is another division symbol. Numerator again, denominator close the bracket. And then put equal, you will get the value of this. Okay. Okay, thank you. In the upcoming class, we will see what is the how to how to apply testing of hypothesis for 2 samples. Okay, thank you.